Greg Andrick here with a Business Freedom Conversation post. So here's a video from the Wall Street Journal talking about this last weekend's riots in Philadelphia, where they had over 80, I guess you couldn't call them riots. I don't know what they're calling them, but they had 80 incidents of mobs breaking into stores and just hauling everything out that they could. And what the problem is that's causing for the city. But this is something that's appearing all across America, and this is happening more and more frequently. You know, thanks to George Soros, he gave $20 million to each of these 19 progressive DAs, so that makes it $380 million or more that he has contributed to unleash this upon America, where these district attorneys have decriminalized shoplifting. This is unreal. And of course, what's happening is you're now getting roving bans that in certain places people just take what they want and don't pay because they know that the police are not going to do anything about it. So this has cost American retailers $112 billion in 2022. It's certainly going to be significantly more in 2023. Target is closing 9 stores because they're unprofitable because the large amount of retail theft. You have other retailers closing. They're saying it's creating retail deserts in certain of these neighborhoods. So it's a massive problem, and it's one that I think the American people are getting really tired of when they see all these smash and grabs and all these things. But you as a business owner, it's an enormous cost to you where you're getting less and less support and less protection. So take a look at this video. I mean, George Soros' son has taken over. So George Soros is worth $25 billion, and he's put $2.5 billion into a nonprofit that his son is going to run to create even more progressive policies. And these are the 19 largest cities in the U.S. where that 20 million campaign contribution dwarfed, whatever any opposition was able to raise. So it's a really sad thing that's happening. But for you as a business owner, it's a high risk that you're going to do all this work and invest your money and then have your profits diminished or eliminated because people are going to just walk out with your goods. So take a look at it. I think you'll find it interesting. This is Greg Andrick, Business Freedom Conversation. I'll catch you on the next one.
Philadelphia police responded to nearly 80 incidents of looting over multiple nights this week as mobs ransacked stores across the city, leading to dozens of arrests. The crime spree coming as Target announced that it is closing 9 stores in 4 states because of rampant shoplifting. Retail theft is now a nationwide epidemic, with the National Retail Federation reporting this week that retailers lost $112 billion in 2022 thanks to what they call inventory shrink. Let's bring back our panel. Bill, shrink, inventory, euphemism for theft.
For chaos. Yeah. I mean, remember how people poo-pooed broken windows just a few years ago? That's a theory that if you leave a broken window untended, unrepaired, it'll lead to further vandalism. Same thing, we're not going to prosecute crimes like shoplifting. Criminals are smart. The market news travels fast. Hey, there's no penalty, so I'm going to do it. I go to Penn Station. I'm amazed at what I see. The casualness of it. People reaching in and just taking stuff, and no one dares. Most of the stores have a policy, don't confront the shoplifter, whatever.
Right.
And no cops. They know they're not going to, and they're sophisticated. Like in Philly, you see, when they go into the more serious stores, they create distractions and they target specific areas. They're not dumb.
Yeah, these aren't people, Dan, who are in desperate need of Lululemon sportswear, okay?
You don't know that.
They're grabbing this stuff, and the way they describe it is, they're gangs. It's organized crime in many respects. Also kind of unofficial organized crime where some groups hire a drug addict to go in, grab some stuff, come out, and they give them the money for the drugs, and then these other criminals post the goods right away on eBay, sometimes within 10 minutes. Why is it that we are letting this happen?
Well, one of the big reasons, of course, is political and ideological. You do have, we've talked about it many times, progressive prosecutors, as like Larry Krasner in Philadelphia, who basically decriminalized shoplifting, so the crooks have moved in. Right. And the progressive prosecutors will not stand back from those policies, and so the crime continues. Philadelphia is really in a kind of state of meltdown. The mayor is a lame duck. They have an interim police chief. But I will point out that the leading candidate, a Democrat for mayor in November, is a woman named Sherelle Parker, who's running on a tough on crime, and she wants to bring back stop and frisk, believe it or not. And that was a policy that worked in New York City. You got to start somewhere, and it's nice to see that some of the Democrats, even in cities like Philadelphia, realize that they are losing their city to these progressive policies.
Kim, this has real business consequences. Target's CEO said that they're going to lose something like $500 million to shrink, that is theft, this fiscal year. And you hear it from Walmart and other retailers that now, and some of these folks, they're putting clothing, socks behind plexiglass, toothpaste behind plexiglass to stop theft of even common items. I guess the question, I find this shocking as somebody who didn't grow up with any of this. When are people and the public going to lose patience and start to punish politicians?
Well, I think it's starting to happen already, which is why you are hearing people like the person Dan was just talking about running for office on a new way. And because this doesn't just have enormous consequences for the economic centers, but, this is why you're seeing these deserted city centers at the moment, because these retailers have moved out. It's too dangerous for their employees. It's too dangerous for them to continue doing this, living in this kind of environment. And, that's also just not the economic consequences, but who gets hurt the most by this? One of the Target stores that's closing down was in Harlem. We hear all of these prosecutors saying we can't prosecute these crimes because it's unfair to minority communities. Well, which communities are the ones that are now having to live without any retail options because the stores in their communities have become simply too dangerous to exist in? And I think there's going to be more blowback here soon.
Bill, grocery stores in Chicago, now the mayor wants to get in the grocery business because there's now grocery deserts where there's too much crime.
Yeah, as Kim says, the poorest people pay the highest price for this. In my suburb, they're not closing stores. They're closing in poor and minority areas. So there's human costs in addition to the costs you laid out to the businesses like Target.
Yeah, and somehow Chicago's grocery business, I don't think, is going to be a model